The 2018 Daytona DMAX Championship continues here at Milton Keynes, and it is the Inter-Enduros. Jake Sanson and Chris McCarthy here for all of the action from this 1 hour Enduro. And qualifying, pretty interesting grid.
Very close between the, well, two drivers that cleared off out front, which we'll speak to in a sec, but very close behind that. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think any one of the top 10 could win this as long as they're able to close in on the top two, who are currently 6/10 clear from the rest of the field. And
of course, there's a defending champion on the second row of the grid in Bobby Trundley. We'll talk to him as well. Let's go and catch up with all the action from qualifying. So, Chris Hackworth, not a bad start to the 2018 season, eh?
Yeah, the track's still damp at the bottom of the hill. So I was just sliding through there, and I think keeping good momentum. It looks a little bit cloudy, so whether or not there's rain coming, but I'm happy with that.
Front row. On the Enduros, you're coming to do a full campaign in the Enduros this year. Of course, you always do well in the heats. You did dabble at Clay, wasn't it, last year, I believe, in the
Enduro. I finished fourth at Sandown, and then I ended up helping Mike out here in the last round because I wasn't going to get in the way of anyone's championship. It seems I've only done a couple of rounds, but this year I do plan on getting in the way quite a lot.
Well, you have already. You're on the front row, and you're 6/10, half a second clear from the defending champion. Must feel good.
It's a surprise. I wasn't expecting to be that far clear of Bobby. I had Alex was doing the radio for me. He said me and Hackworth were like one lap apiece, 10th, and he said Bobby's half a second back. I almost crashed actually. He caught me at the wrong point. Whoops. Really? But hopefully it stays that way in the race as well. I mean, we all know what Bobby's like. He'll be a danger for the entire race. As long as I can get my head down and get away, hopefully I'll see you again at the end of the race.
Going into the 2018 season, third position and the inside line heading to turn one, that's a pretty decent place to be.
It is a decent place to be. I mean, qualifying, I'd say they got lucky, but I will say they're both talented drivers, obviously both the Chris's and everything. They deserved it as well, but no one knows what the race will bring, and my strong point is the race, so hopefully we'll see what happens.
Nuno Costa, your home track, you always go well here, don't you? Fourth place on the grid, you're going to go for a podium.
Well, I'm going to try, but it's going to be really tough. I think the start will be tough, so I'll try to keep my head down. It is my home track, or the one at least I'm more comfortable. I've been here more time than any other circuit in the UK, so I'll try to keep my head down and go with the pack. There's a set of very, very fast drivers over there, and I'll try to follow, and let's see what I can get out of it.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Nuno Costa, fourth place. Well, Jake, we've spoken to the top four. I think everyone else is going to have a lot to say in this race.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we've only spoken to the men on the top two rows of the grid, but there's another 15 or 16 or so right behind them who could win in a grid of 32. It's Daytona DMAX. We genuinely don't know how it's going to go. The first DMAX Inter-Enduro round of the 2018 Championship, and it's a all-Chris front row. It's going to be an interesting one for Chris Hackworth and Chris Alcock, with Bobby Trundley on the inside of the second row, Nuno Costa alongside him, Richard Lacey and Andy Spencer on the third row from Joe Ellis and Jordan Taylor, Seb Cook and Mike Coppin, James Perry and Tom Eastwood, Philip Senior and Curtis Mitchell, Dean Thomas and Owen Genman, Bruno Botelho and Dean Walker, and rounding out the top 20 is Anthony Kirk and Tim Ellis. Then we have Stuart Shearman, Andy Stobart, F1 mechanic, out for another play, James Wattis, Mark Mason, John Donnelly and Lee Carey, Paul Mason and Chris Kirk, James Browning and Nigel Foote, and to finish off the grid, Matt O'Daly and Karim Rashid. This is going to be a really interesting grid with, again, a sellout capacity, 32 drivers here for the first round of the championship. The wind is obviously picked up. The wind is definitely picked up here at Daytona Milton Keynes. The sun is hiding behind clouds. It's desperately trying to push the surface moisture off the circuit, but still, as Chris Hackworth alluded to us pre-race, it is going to be tricky down at turn 8, the one blind spot we have on the circuit, because obviously there's been no sunshine in that part of the circuit. The trees cover it, so there's going to be draining down that hill anyway. And then you've also got the added problem of not a high level of temperature getting to that part of the circuit. Hackworth, Alcock, Trundley, Costa, Lacey, Spencer, Ellis, Taylor, Cook and Coppin in the top 10. Perry, Eastwood, Senior, Mitchell and Co giving chase. Keep an eye on Owen Genman in 16, and away we go. Green flag, and already it's Hackworth in the lead, getting a perfect start. No major dramas at the first part of the lap. And as they go through 2 and 3, it is Hackworth in control. Bobby Trundley is slotting into third position behind Chris Alcock. So the top 3, no major changes, but Bobby Trundley trying to get stuck in with Chris Alcock already. And as they tour around turn 5 on the run to 6, it's no major dramas at the front. A-OK.
Yeah, everyone through safely and no real changes. Nuno Costa was still in 4th place, and it looked like Richard Lacey, yes, is still in 5th place as well, as Andy Spencer trying to move around the outside of 4th place there, 5th place, sorry. Richard Lacey's going to lose a place to Joe Ellis, but no yellow flags out, so that's a good sign so far.
Several stragglers in the midfield as they all swarm around together, trying to gain track position. They come up and over the crest and through to 9. Back end kicking out beautifully for Hackworth as he gets plenty of grip through there. It should be fairly bone dry around 9, 10 and 11 now.
Mike Coppin up the inside of Andy Spencer.
Brilliant, brilliant move there from Coppin. Elbows out straight away. Spencer's going to try and come straight back at him. Coppin will keep a wide line, but he doesn't have, he's exactly had done to him what he did to Spencer. And that was beautiful battling between the two of them. They gave as good as they got.
Yeah, and it looked like Jordan Taylor actually got through and passed Mike Coppin momentarily.
Coppin got him back again.
At turn 2, wasn't it? So it's back to as it was with Andy Spencer. 4th place. I think we're going to see a change very shortly because Richard Lacey is closing in. Is he going to try and move up at turn 4? Nuno Costa is already starting to defend here. Richard Lacey will want to get past as soon as possible, and I think they're side by side.
Ooh.
Down at turn 5. Can
Beautiful.
Richard Lacey get the switch back?
No, he is going to get the switch back, you're right. These two still side by side, still battling. He's forcing him to the inside line. Tighter line to take there at turn 6. And he's through, yeah. He has got through it and defended his position, got into a nice position, so that's beautifully done. Chris Alcock, though, is the fastest man. A 105.2 to close right up to the back of Chris Hackworth. This is game on.
Big mistake from Mike Coppin up at turn 7 there. Ran very deep and lost a lot of time on the exit, but holds position. The top 2 are away and clear, and Chris Alcock doesn't look in any rush to get past Chris Hackworth here. I think we're just going to see these two work together. Bobby Trunley, no response to them at the moment, and then of course Richard Lacey now in that 4th position has put Nuno Costa under a lot of pressure behind. Costa's got Joe Ellis, Andy Spencer and Mike Coppin all queuing up. Then behind that we've got Jordan Taylor and James Perry rounding out the top 10, and a good battle for 11th between Tom Eastwood and Owen Genman, heading up towards turn number 2 now.
Well, if I know Alcock and Hackworth, they are going to deny Bobby Trunley a victory here just by working together, clearing out in front, getting away from Bobby Trunley. They're trying to open up the gap so that Bobby, who is currently on his own, will need to drop back and hope for assistance from Richard Lacey to stand any chance of moving further forward. He's got to work hard here, Bobby, to try and stay with these guys, because Hackworth and Alcock, they'll have a game plan. They know that Trunley is tough to beat. They're going to check out in front, disappear, build up a gap of 15 to 16 seconds if they can, and then in the last 5 minutes they'll go hammer and tongs between the two of them. They will not want Trunley to be part of this battle. He's the reigning champion. He is a dominant force when he gets out in front, and this is going to be a real challenge for Hackworth and Alcock. Can they put aside their differences as rivals, work together, get away from Bobby, and then go hell for leather in the last 5 minutes? And then we've got a little fight of change for 10th position. Is that Owen Genman up the inside of James Perry?
It is. Good move that from Genman. And should go past into turn 1.
Yeah, perfect discipline. Knew he had an opportunity up the inside line. Decided to be decisive in blocking on the exit. That cut him off to get in the undercut. Very nicely done there from Genman. Another new fastest lap from Chris Alcock. Just sat in, tucked up behind Chris Hackworth. A 104.670. Very good lap time indeed there from Chris Alcock. 104s all day today.
Chris Alcock said off mic, "You will speak to me again today on camera."
Interesting. So he's determined to be on the podium today.
At the very least, I think he'd take 2nd place. But that said, he's got a chance of a win at the first round.
Well,
Walk-away championship leader, more than he would have expected. But there is a long, long way to go.
There is indeed. I mean,
I'll tell you who's coming through well. Owen Genman.
Yes, he is.
He's just closed in there on Jordan Taylor.
Yeah, it's crucial at this point, actually, because he needs to, if he wants to be in the top 6, he's got to be on the move and he's got to be charging forward.
I just saw Curtis Mitchell make a move at turn 7 on Tom Eastwood. But Owen Genman, look at him coming in towards turn 9. He's really reeled in.
He is right there.
Taylor.
Goodness me, this is what he's good at. He knows how to get himself back into a decent position if he's not in the great place in qualifying. Here he goes for the move.
Yeah.
Perfect. That was a perfect textbook move there on Jordan Taylor. Taylor's going to try and get him back on the undercut. No thanks. I'm going to go and disappear. You're going to chase after me now. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how we go into this 2018 season with Jordan Taylor, because obviously we're running off the back of a very exciting conclusion.
He was always a very exciting driver to watch in a race, wasn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, you could call him the Eddie Irvine of Daytona DMAX. He has got plenty of speed, plenty of guts and gusto, but he never backs out of a fight. He's always right there in the mix of it. And I have to say, he is looking a lot more composed
and that's
this
a
year.
change. Andy Spencer up the inside of Joe Ellis, and that is 6th place.
Yeah, and Coppin is having a sniff of the scraps himself as well. He's looking at that as a possible opportunity to move up into the top 6. If he can get there, he's going to have to work very hard to get there. Now, we're already lapping back markers, Hackworth and Alcock. We're about to lap Paul Mason.
Yeah, of course, has run the length of the back straight as well as doing a few laps.
Fair play to him. He's had a harder workout than anybody else so far.
Oh, and what's gone on at the penultimate corner?
Back. Coppin's dropped back. Genman's gone through. Genman's gone through 3 karts he's got through on this lap. So Genman now finds himself up in 2. That is 7th place, in behind Spencer and ahead of Ellis, Coppin and Taylor.
Well, I imagine Andy Spencer went for a move on Joe Ellis, and somehow Mike Coppin got caught up in all of that.
Coppin makes the move. Coppin goes up the inside of Joe Ellis and gets through. So that puts him into P8. It's a very good move.
So that's back to where he was originally, although Joe Ellis trying to fight back. This has brought Jordan Taylor into the fight, and race winner of last year, James Perry, now trying to get closer as well. Of course, James Perry won round 2, wasn't it, at Sandown Park.
So he definitely has what it takes, James Perry, to be in the mix here. He just needs to keep on charging forward. Hackworth and Alcock still doing fastest laps. Alcock's just on a 104.426 now. That's only...
Go away.
That's 0.05 of a second faster than Hackworth managed, and they are 5 seconds now ahead of Bobby Trundley, who is a further 4.3 ahead of the Lacey and Costa scrap. And then we have this amazing battle, led currently by Andy Spencer.
But not for long.
Owen Genman is looking feisty.
Owen Genman going along very well here. He did a kart swap right at the end of qualifying, even though he was running in a pretty good position, and clearly he thought, you know what, I'm just going to have a go and see. Let's try something else. And Owen Genman clearly just feels... oh, and there's an incident. Well, that's Joe Ellis and Jordan Taylor coming together up at turn 4, and here comes James Perry.
Perry's going to get at least 1, possibly 2 of them on the exit.
I think Taylor's going to have to give that
Perry
position
runs
back.
a bit deep. Goodness me, that was close.
Right,
as well.
Here we go. Andy Spencer versus Mike Coppin into turn 10. Having both been passed by Owen Genman, this is round 2 between these two. They've come together now a couple of times in this race.
Yeah,
and
Coppin makes a very late lunge. I think Spencer was a bit sluggish through turn 11, and Coppin pounced on it.
Spencer is not happy with that
Spencer
at all.
puts his hand in the air as if to say, come on, you just barged me out of the way, mate. Coppin was like, well, you were too slow. I had to create a gap and go through. So both of those drivers are going to have a differing opinion about how that one worked out. If we look at it again, there was just a little bit of a nerf there, Coppin to the back. I don't know whether you could say that was an intentional moving him aside, or whether that was just going for the slightest gap and it opened up.
Well, let's say, put it this way, they came together earlier. Did Mike Coppin feel that was Andy Spencer's fault, and this was a bit of, you done it to me, now I do it to you, it's fair game?
Was that a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other decision? It's an interesting one, but it's all battles in DMAX. We love it. It's always good. Now, hang on a minute. Hackworth appears to be on his own. Where's Alcock? He's dropped back quite a bit there.
He's dropped back by
so the gap is 0.7 of a second now.
That's the biggest it's been. This is the risk with what Chris Alcock's doing in sitting behind Hackworth. Just hitting traffic, ideally you want to be leading, because
he's
sometimes if you're a backmarker, you'll see Chris Hackworth coming through and you'll move out the way, and then you won't see Chris Alcock turn in, and then there could be a bit of contact. Well, now, Hackworth had a long look over his shoulder. I was
just going to say, he's still got Hackworth a little bit worried, isn't he?
Either Hackworth is going to back off here and go, you know what, I don't want to win this in the traffic. I'm going to let him catch up again.
I'm going to let him do the hard work pushing me along.
Yeah, or he's thinking, you know what, I've got a gap now I can stop worrying about it.
It's difficult because Chris
I think it's the latter, personally.
Well, Chris Hackworth, he has 2 speeds, does Chris Hackworth, which is full pelt and stationary. That's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't really do conservative, does Chris Hackworth. It's all go. He doesn't really hang back and see what happens. He just gives it gusto every time. Now, Alcock has been able to eat into that deficit, and the gap is down again. What a speed from Alcock, a 104.247.
Richard Lacey being delayed at the penultimate corner there, and Nuno Costa has
caught up. This is a real
difficulty.
Genman's going to eat into these two now. Lacey and Costa battling their way through the traffic as they come across the line, just trying to lap Karim Rashid. and that's really compromised them. So now they're going to struggle. Owen Genman's going to eat into the lead. Look how close he is now.
He closed in by 6/10. That gap's 1.5 seconds now.
And they're still struggling. Look, Lacey having to shake the kart forward to gain momentum, and Owen Genman is only 1 kart away. Look at that. Hackworth and Alcock continuing to stretch out in front of the rest of the field. And their gap has opened up to 12 seconds, as we mentioned, over Bobby Trundley. About the same sort of pace as each other at the moment, but Hackworth and Alcock have already done quite a lot of hard work in the first part of the race. They head up to turn 10 now. Hackworth still just a kart length in front of Alcock. It doesn't need to be any more than that. They continue to run around together. They're just stretching out the gap. They will not battle until the final 5 minutes of this race. Mark my words, they are going to just continue to stretch out this gap. They know that in the first race of 2018, the man they couldn't beat last year was Bobby Trundley. They are ahead of him now by 12 seconds. They are disappearing because they know they might not get a better chance to beat him in a straight fight. So they're going to work together for the next, well, the next 25 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And then boom, 5 minutes to go. That'll be 4 laps left on the clock. Right, best man for himself. They're going to be best friends right up until there's about 4 minutes left, and then they will just go for battle. Ah, now Alcock's been held up by a back marker.
He was not
That
pleased.
is not good. That is not good for Chris Alcock, and he had his hand in the air, absolutely fuming with the back marker as he got held up.
Well, now he's lost touch with Hackworth, and this
is Hackworth's opportunity. Hackworth can now put his foot down and get on with it.
Yeah, he's got a break now.
A second. The gap is a second as they came across the line this time. This is a golden moment for Hackworth. He's got to make use of this.
And he's now side by side with someone going up towards turn number 6.
This is heaven sent for Chris Hackworth. This is exactly what he needed to win this race going away. Chris Alcock's going to have to do 3 mad qualifying laps to get right on the back of him. He's got to stay right with him for the entirety of this race. Otherwise, those last 4 or 5 minutes will just disappear.
Chris Alcock's just done a new fastest lap.
Well, he definitely needed to, didn't he?
Yeah, and where are they now? Let's try and...
0.6 of a second. They'll be coming up over the crest any second now.
And there's blue flags.
Blue flags waving, so they need to get out of the way of the leaders. Here they come, and that is how close it is. Look, Alcock has got himself right back underneath Hackworth again. That fastest lap, based on what he's doing this lap as well. This race is back on. Alcock has got the gap back down to Hackworth. Hackworth dives down the inside of the back marker. Alcock goes with him. The race is back on. Now he knows the pressure cooker is bubbling over. Up towards 2. Alcock tight in. A much wider line from Hackworth. No, he's not going to do it yet. He wants to bank on a certain move, and he wasn't going to get one from 4. He again is just giving Hackworth pressure. He's not going for the move. He wants Hackworth to make the mistake, because if Hackworth makes the mistake and he gets through, then he'll get a couple of seconds in hand. Yeah. He wants to make him not only be beaten, but he wants to humiliate him.
Trundley's just done a new personal best lap behind. 64.7.
Well, he certainly needs to.
He's been given the hurry up.
Well, he needs to. The timing is right for Genman to really gain some ground. So he's got to get a move on, because Genman is coming up the road very quickly now. Genman is only 5.3 seconds back. So Trundley needs to get on with this. Hackworth and Alcock back together through turn 9 into 10. Alcock's decided to drop back a couple of kart lengths just to give himself a little bit more room to attack again.
Must have made a mistake maybe down at turn 8.
Well, maybe. I mean, you can afford to give yourself a little bit of breathing space when you're stuck behind the man you're trying to beat, just to have another crack at him. I know drivers who will spend a long time behind their main rival and then just drop back a couple of kart lengths just to give you a little bit more momentum to get back on turns, because that little bit of added space to play with can be enough to just make that banzai move up the inside. This might even come, you know, on the last corner of the last lap. This could even be a turn 11 job on the last lap.
Switch back out of turn 11.
Coppin, and having a major move. That is Coppin
versus Nuno Costa.
Yeah, he's got past Costa. He dived up the inside there of Nuno Costa on turn 9. That is a brave move from Mike Coppin, and again, the kind of racing he said you're going to see a much tougher Mike Coppin in 2018. You're going to see a man with a bigger stance, and he's definitely lording it over the opposition in that turn.
Good move that. Nuno Costa definitely didn't see it coming. Neither did
I don't think we did.
No.
This is the thing. Mike Coppin is Mr. Nice Guy. He's a friendly person.
But he's lost the place back. Nuno Costa back through.
And he's put his arm in the air as if to say, seriously?
And then Nuno Costa said, yeah, okay. Maybe I did push you out the way.
Well, this is the thing. Mike Coppin has been Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah.
That's who he is. He has always been a friendly guy, loves his racing, loves playing in DMAX, wouldn't race anywhere else. He wants to do it. Now we've got the battle for the lead up the inside. Alcock's going for it and taking the lead. Alcock has taken the lead at turn 5. There's the move. He waited for his opportunity. Hackworth is cannon fodder for him there. Up and out through turn 6 and defending nicely. So this battle is going to the death, but Alcock hits the front for the first time.
In 48 minutes it's taken Chris Alcock. He's dropped back from Chris Hackworth, then he's caught him, then he's dropped back, caught him again. He's not taking any chances now.
I tell you what,
through into the lead.
If he beats him, this will easily be Chris Alcock's finest ever performance in Daytona DMAX. He's worked so hard here with Chris Hackworth. They've got the gap down. He's lost momentum. He's lost about a second and a half to Hackworth. Fought it back, got the gap down, and then said, right, enough of this, I'm going for it. And for the first time, at the end of 45, Alcock is your leader. Here they come through 9. Hackworth's still right there. Alcock's got to be careful.
Here we go.
He'll defend. Hackworth's overshot. Alcock will get through and be held up by the back marker potentially. That could be the race-winning moment. Alcock, so sensible there. He just dived out of the brakes, got hard on the brakes. That Hackworth dive up the inside. He overshot into turn 10. Alcock swept it up and said, cheers, mate. That's exactly what I wanted you to do. And now look, Alcock's trying to put carts between himself and Chris Hackworth. This is his moment, his opportunity. Oh, a bit of a mistake there for the back marker as he gets Hackworth on his inside. But Chris Hackworth, well, Chris Hackworth's determined. And Alcock's trying to come past the back marker. That's compromised him. So now Alcock might get caught by Hackworth on the way through.
Oh, into turn 2, yeah, now.
Well, that was a little bit of code. And now, oh no, that's going to be the same problem for Hackworth.
Oh no.
He's going to hold up Chris Hackworth, and surely that's going to give the victory to Chris Alcock. Hackworth gets through, puts his hand in the air as if to say, are you serious? And through goes Alcock. Checks out to the tune of 0.6 of a second at the end of that lap. And this is perfect for Chris Alcock. He could start his championship in winning fashion, and he will lead the championship, I think, for the first time in his whole career, won't he? Alcock's held up in traffic again. This is not good. Hackworth has caught him right up.
And now they're together once again as they exit turn 4.
Just when we thought Alcock might have done enough here, Hackworth is going to reel him in again in the traffic. This is going down to the wire, and Alcock knows it.
It's going to go to the last lap, isn't it? The last corner.
Knowing this battle, I think it's going to go down to turn 11 on the last lap.
It's going to go to the pits.
Yep. Oh, my word. We are starting the season with a nail-biting contest here as we've got the Coppin, Costa and Spencer battle. Costa is right on the back of Mike Coppin once again, so he is not going to let him run away with the top 6. Out of the final turn, Coppin working so hard to stretch out that advantage over Nuno Costa. They've got a back marker in between them and Spencer. That's going to give them a little bit of breathing space. Oh, Joe Ellis is definitely not going to win any friends around this circuit the way he's driving. He's been lapped, of course. And look, furiously, frantically waving down the straight, Spencer, to the officials. Get Joe Ellis out of my way. He is absolutely raging at this moment because this is a man who is a lap down, essentially. He's got the same sort of pace as these guys. Joe Ellis isn't racing them. He's just trying to see what sort of pace he would have had if he was still in the mix.
You can't do that, though, if you're Joe Ellis. You should really stay out of it, to be honest. You're not going to win any friends, as you said.
And the thing is, Coppin is getting away. Look, this is frustration aplenty for Spencer and Costa. They are losing so much ground as a result of Joe Ellis because Coppin has got away clear and opened up the tap. New fastest lap for Hackworth. He's just done a 1:04.1.
Yeah, they're up at turn 6. It's getting very close. Well, look at the queue of back markers that they are catching as they're up at turn 4.
Alcock deals with the first.
5, pretty much in a row down
well, Alcock deals with the first. Hackworth shouldn't be too much of a problem. I say that, and then he becomes one. Nearly Hackworth got balked there. Goodness me. Over the line, through turn 1, flat on the throttle once again, up towards 2.
Shearman ahead of them now.
That is Shearman, yes. And is Hackworth going to dive for the inside? I think he's going to think about it. Alcock's going to make the move on the back marker. Hackworth has to go with him. Oh, that was close. Alcock again just about hanging on in there. We've got 3.5 on the clock. And now that's Alcock running wide. Alcock runs wide out of 5 there, and this is Hackworth's opportunity. Alcock slices across through 6. Don't even think about it, Mr. Hackworth. You're not going to get me that easily, but he almost got in there. Chris Alcock very nearly let it slip.
1.7 now. It's the gap between Trunley and 4th place.
Oh, Coppin! Coppin spun!
He's off.
Out of turn 10, he just got on the curbs and he's chucked it away.
Well, he was in sixth place, so he's going to drop.
Unbelievable. Spencer through, Costa through, Taylor through, Mike Copping down to 9th position, out of turn 10, loses it. What a disaster. He just got too high up on the curbs, got on the throttle as always, and that was enough to upset the momentum and rhythm of the kart, pitched him into the tyres. What a disaster for Mike Copping. Get away. Here we go. Here the leaders. Hackworth dives for 10. Is he going to try it
yes,
again?
He has.
Oh, they're going to be side by side. They are jostling for position. Alcock has to fall back into position. That's the move Hackworth was trying to get right earlier. This time he nails it.
That was the dress rehearsal earlier, wasn't it? And that is that completed.
And we're
2
not
laps
done.
remaining.
Hackworth is now on the defence. Alcock's going to try and come back and in through 2 and 3. Can he open up the door? Hackworth makes his kart wide again into 4. On the exit, Alcock's going to get alongside, but he's not going to be in the advantage as they come through. They tangle with the wheels barging together. Oh, this is an amazing tussle. It's like a heavyweight fight between these two, trading blows and uppercuts every single turn of this lap.
Turn 6 now into 7, and Hackworth still defending as they exit there and head back downhill. Alcock has got to be careful. He's just got to.
Yeah, not through 8.
He's just
for goodness sake, for goodness sake, don't make the overtake through 8. Otherwise, you'll both end up backwards in the barriers. Up and over the crest. He'll build up momentum again through 9. Will he do the same move that Hackworth just played on him? No, he's too far back. He's going to have to wait for another opportunity.
Last lap ball's being prepared.
Yep, we are getting so close. This time around, we will be into the final lap. So, one more time with feeling. Hackworth versus Alcock. Alcock got a good exit last lap. Here we go. And Alcock is underneath Chris Hackworth. We were hoping for an amazing fight for victory, and we get one. Hackworth defends through 4. Alcock not close enough. Will he dive at 5?
They're side by side almost again. That time, Alcock, you know what, said, I'm going to sit behind this lap.
He's going to try and set him up. Look, Hackworth's playing ultra defensive. Alcock is going to try and sweep underneath him at 6.
It's all going to come down to turn 10, I think.
It is, I think you're right.
It's all going to be about who gets the better run out of turn 8.
Careful through 8. This could compromise the rest of the lap if you get it wrong. Down the drop through the left, into the braking zone. Square left to go up the crest. It's going to be so tight between these two as they come up and over the hill, but here they come. Alcock is all over the back of Hackworth. He's trying to find a way to the far side. Hackworth defends. Alcock's got to do it now. He knows he's going to try. No, he's going to wait for the final turn. Is he going to have an opportunity to lunge into the final turn? He's going to think about it. Hackworth's not quite there. They're going to drift out wide. Hackworth's going to win it from Alcock. What a battle all the way to the finish line. Terrific. And look at that. Absolutely brilliant. They're both delighted.
And here comes Bobby Trundley, and you've got to give it to Owen Genman. He got within a second. That's got to be a gap of about half a second as they come out the last corner. Bobby Trundley takes 3rd, but from 17th on the grid, Owen Genman, 4th place with a new personal best lap on the last lap.
Genman.
Give it a good old skid going.
He gave it a proper skid past him on the slowing down lap there, Genman. I was that close. That's how close I was, mate. Oh, great battles in the first race of the season in the Enduro, but what a battle. Chris Hackworth just gets it from Chris Alcock. One more lap and that race could have been very, very different. Trundley in 3rd from Owen Genman, Richard Lacey in 5th from Andy Spencer, from Nuno Costa, Jordan Taylor, Mike Coppin and James Perry rounds out the top 10 in front of Seb Cook, and then the first of the lap back markers. Curtis Mitchell from Tom Eastwood and Dean Thomas, Bruno Battaglio, Anthony Kirk, Dean Walker, Joe and Tim Ellis, and Philip Senior rounds out the top 20 ahead of Andy Stobart. From Stuart Shearman, James Waddis, John Donnelly, Mark Mason, Lee Carey, James Browning, Nigel Foote, Chris Kirk, Matt O'Daly and Paul Mason, with only Karim Rashid failing to make the flag 8 laps from the finish. But what a stunning battle from our leading 2. They come into the pits together, and no doubt there will be an ovation for them as they come in. They've entertained us royally over the last hour. Stablemates and comrades clapping them in. What a battle to start the season, and I think both of them will be absolutely delirious. 1st and 2nd ahead of Bobby Trundley. That is the perfect way to start the 2018 season. Give it up once again on the podium. Bobby Trundley, Chris Alcock, and your race winner, Chris Hackworth.
3rd place, Bobby Trundley defending the title this year. Pretty good start to the season overall, although I think slightly disappointed you were not to be with the top 2.
not well. Yeah, it's obviously disappointing that I wasn't at the front, but with those guys. But obviously, it's a long season and everything. I mean, it's points at the end of the day. First few rounds don't really matter. It's the later ones that count. So third is pretty decent on points, good low points. Hopefully, I can improve next time.
And I mean, they were just, I think, in a different class today, weren't they? But best of the rest, it's pretty good.
Those two were just out of everyone else's league today. I'm quite horrified. But I will say that they're both very clean drivers, obviously. Considering how close their lap times are, it must have been a good battle for them, and I wish I could have joined in. But I enjoyed my battle with, I don't forget his name. I don't know.
Owen.
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah, him.
Okay, cool. Well done, Bobby. We'll get Chris up next before we move on to another Chris Alcock first. Yeah, well, look, let's talk about the race, because you, I think you went with the tactic of I'll follow Chris to the last few minutes. Then you lost touch, and then when you caught him again, you didn't want to take any chances.
No, I said at the start, the start's always manic. There's 32 people out there, or 30. We needed to get our heads down, get a gap, and then we can worry about the positions later on. That's what we did. Excuse me. So halfway through, frog in my throat, excuse me. Halfway through, just keep an eye on the tyres, make sure I'm not hitting the curbs, be careful, don't lose touch with him. Last 15 minutes came around and it's all hell breaks loose. I thought I had it, took the lead with 10 minutes to go, made one mistake. All race, one mistake, and he capitalised like the champ he is. So he deserved the win, but it was a damn good race. Really enjoyed it.
What about going into the last lap? Were you trying to eye up a move coming into the last two corners?
Yeah, I even said on the radio, I was like, this is going to have to be a last lap wonder. I was close. He was defending, so I was always going to catch back up that half a length. But he defended well. He deserved the win. I'm pleased to come in second. Good open to the season.
Good stuff. Well done. We look forward to seeing more of those throughout the season. We'll come to our winner, Chris Hackworth, off with a win. That's more like what we used to see from you when you were racing in the lights class. I guess hopefully the first of many.
Yeah, hopefully. Like I say, I really enjoyed the racing with Chris. I know Bobby got a bit of separation, but Chris Alcock, like I say, he was sensible enough to work with me. We got a bit of a gap. We was clear of the rest halfway through, and then to be honest, I thought he had me the last couple of laps. He got me in traffic, and I started over driving. Some of the corners lost a little bit more ground, but managed to just do last of late breaks, got him at the hairpin, and then I think that was about the second to last lap or something, and then just defended the last lap. But I'm happy with that. Like I say, I got fastest lap pole, so I think that's good for the championship.
Just talk us through the move once again, going into the penultimate corner there.
Yeah, coming up the hill, you get a bit of slipstream, and like I say, it was a little bit sideways on the curb, and I just last a late break, chuck it up the inside, almost come to a stop, kind of a block pass, but managed to just get the run out as well. But I'm happy to get the win.
Well done, Chris. Good start to the season. Jake, that was a very entertaining race, wasn't it? Nonetheless, the last two laps.
I genuinely don't know how you start a season better than that. An entire hour of racing, and our top two drivers who started on the front row of the grid, separated by 0.2 of a second. Absolutely incredible. All you need to do now is get on the grid for the next one, PF International next month. Get on the website, DaytonaMax.co.uk. Make sure you're on that starting grid, and it'll be you up here.